And I knew in my body I couldn't do the notice period. It was going to kill me. Basically, I was about to have a heart attack any second.
So pleasers were the biggest type. I think it was 37% of Americans identify as pleasers. Sexual America that is not designed for pleasers, like strip clubs. Like strip clubs are not designed for men that actually like to please. You know?
Now we're heading back to Brooklyn to speak to Justine to see how this city has affected her.
Check out this view behind me. It's amazing. 14 years ago, right around this time I came here. This is when I was here for 2 weeks. Did about 10 interviews, and I remember walking around here looking at this view. I took a photo of myself, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to move here. I'm going to live here. I'm going to work here. I'm going to achieve something here. I didn't really know what I was trying to achieve here, but it was definitely on my mind. It's perfect. Is Statue of Liberty way smaller than I expected. I just thought the Statue of Liberty would be big like a skyscraper. And there she is, Justine Armour.
Hey! Welcome to Brooklyn.
Let's go for a walk.
Let's go. It's loud and cold.
It is loud and cold.
Yeah.
So Justine is a Chief Creative Officer. What does that mean?
Yeah, I'm a creative leader of, previously of an office, but now I'm going to be a leader of a network.
So you've had 9 years in New York.
Yes.
What are some of the things that you've learned about corporate America here?
Oh my God. It's a business through and through.
Yep.
And you have to find your creative kicks in other places.
Yeah.
And yet I still love this business that we call advertising.
Yeah.
I've fallen in love with it in a different way. As I'm, in more and more in leadership, I'm navigating, trying to find ways to make it joyful and truly creative, and also be practical about what we're here to do.
Yep. What are some of the differences between working in New York versus Australia?
Just the scale of opportunities.
Scale, yeah.
The clients, no disrespect to some of the clients that I had in Australia, but just the level of marketing mastery that exists in the clients that you get to work with here. I mean, it's just like, unfortunately, like streets ahead. They're just working with it's totally different budgets and information, and many of them are creatively invested in a way that I didn't experience in Australia.
Oh wow! I feel I experienced the exact opposite.
Okay, well,
yeah.
Well,
maybe it's just the clients you have, the agencies.
Yeah. Also, I've been here for 14 years in America, and so I was relatively junior there, and so I think I just didn't get exposure to I wasn't having the kind of conversations with clients at that level that I'm having with them now. So maybe it's just more that I didn't have that experience.
How has the city changed you? How has New York changed you?
In every way, multiple times. I think the version of me, I think there's been 7 or 8 versions of me since I've been here. Okay. I sit on my balcony, which is right where we started our conversation. And I look out at it, and it's incredible, and I feel like I've done it here. I came here with the hopes of achieving things, and I really feel like I've made a lot happen. But I look out and I'm like, I cannot control anything. It's helped me learn to surrender and totally relax. And in relaxing, I feel incredibly powerful.
Do you say as a creative a lot? I find that so patronizing. As a Mark.
As a Mark, as a Justine, as a Virgo, as a Enneagram 4. I think I say it because I don't want to forget.
So
I'm a copywriter.
Let's go back to the strive. Let's go back to the strive.
Yeah,
so you took some time off, right?
Yeah, it took a year.
A year. Did you know it was going to be a year when you took that time off?
Yeah, because I told Ray that I needed to get it out. I felt panic in my body. Yeah. I was in a relationship with someone there who I loved deeply, and it wasn't working out. And I had to leave. I had to leave right now. I can't explain. physically, I had a panic attack at work when I was on my own. Somebody dialed in on a Teams call and resigned, and it was like peak Great Resignation. It was on an account that I'd sort of had taken my eyes off it, and I freaked out, and I just felt just like everything felt crashing down around me, and I felt profoundly lonely. I made choices that put me there, so I had to leave right away. I couldn't explain, and of course in those jobs you have in your agreement, it's like a notice period that's quite long, and I knew in my body I couldn't do the notice period. It was going to kill me. So I left, and I committed to myself to take a year, and Gray was very kind to me and, helped me take that year. And then in that time I went on this wellness fucking retreat in Mexico. I went home to see my family, who I hadn't spent any meaningful time with in a long time. And then I started having like body aches and waking up just drenched in sweat in the middle of the night, and chest pains and all kinds of stuff, and an ache in my elbow that wouldn't go away, and then turned into an ache in my wrist, and then aches all over my body. So I go into my doctor, and she's like, "You don't look good." I was like, and at that time I was a few months into my sabbatical, and I should have been looking good, So they took some blood, and then I started doing this writing program. I was like doing a lot of sort of creative expression. The next day I was about to log on to this workshop, and I get a call from the doctor, and the doctor's like, "Are you somewhere private?" Basically, I was about to have a heart attack any second.
Heart attack?
Yeah, my red blood, she's like, "Are you in chest pains? Are you short of breath? Are you and all these things that I was experiencing that I assigned to other things. I'm like, I'm stressed, I'm heartbroken, I'm out of shape, I'm all these things, and maybe I'm like going through menopause, why? And none of that was happening. I had to have 9 blood transfusions, 2 surgeries. In the stress of all of the Gray, relationship, all of this, whatever, somewhere in there, I had triggered the stress response in my body had triggered an autoimmune disorder. So now I have celiac, which was undiagnosed for how long? I don't know. And then I wasn't absorbing any nutrients. So I had no iron in my body. I had no, I was completely malnourished. And then it all kind of made sense. So I couldn't handle anything,
Right.
But I was just one of those people that's always self-abandoned for the job.
I was going to say, because is it about the achievement and the striving that keeps your attention?
Yeah, I think it's like I have this idea that resilience means I can work through discomfort, and I can be stoic when it's difficult. I was absorbing it into my body and sort of swallowing it down and marching forward and trying to stay optimistic for everybody and trying to keep this company energized, and it was at great personal cost.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, creative people tend to be a bit more sensitive. There are lots of different kinds of creative people, lots of different kinds of creativity, but sometimes creative people sense the world in different ways, and working in New York where it's really loud, where it's really businessy, where there's a lot of power and hierarchy, while still trying to be a little sensitive in a useful way, is probably quite difficult to handle.
Creativity and fear are incompatible, and there were just so many stories around me that were fear creating.
Yeah.
Pandemic, George Floyd, this merger, I couldn't see the company. I was there for 15 days. Like I said, we went home and worked from home. I never could get quite a clear picture on what I was leading, and I felt fearful.
Yeah.
I was like a copywriter for so long, and then I became a CD, and then a GCD, and then an ECD, and then a CCO, all on very, very fast.
Creative director, group creative director, executive creative director,
chief creative officer, and now global chief creative officer. And that has all happened in the last 10 years. Yeah, that's all happened in the last 10 years.
You're so American. You and your titles. Yeah.
I know, but what I will say is
That's fast, yeah.
I have never allowed myself to get to a point of mastery in any of those roles before I jumped to the next thing. So I was always learning and a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah. I don't know if you relate to this. I think the one way in which fear is useful creatively
Yeah.
is if there's something on your mind that you want to do that is creative and it scares the shit out of you, do it. Do what scares you.
Yeah, because it's all bullshit anyway.
And I think what is freeing here, not that Australia is super repressive, but what is freeing here is what we've heard from a lot of people, that no one gives a fuck.
No, there's that is 100%. That's one of the things I love about New York. There's so many people, and there's so many people just doing their own thing, however they want to do it, and it's so pointless to be anything artificial.
Yeah.
Like nobody cares. You might as well be yourself.
So far we've learned how New York is a city of desire, a city of ambition, a city of possibilities and dreams. Especially if you work hard, you can make some money. Now, in a surprise twist, I'm going to drop in on a friend who's just dropped some research about the sexual desires of Americans, research done out of New York. Let's see what we can learn. Well, we're talking about sex today because you and the crew at Nonfiction, the lovely crew at Nonfiction, have dropped a new research report on the 31 codes of sexual desire. Why is this something that you decided to research?
Porn and sex tricks are everywhere in our culture. Like, we live in a very sexualized culture, and yet I think very few people actually know what they want to feel during sex. And when you start on a journey, whether it's to like learn yourself better or to become a better partner, you always get this advice of like communication, but what are you supposed to communicate, And so it just felt like we are not given enough language or reference points to understand like what are all the possibilities for things that you could desire and partnership dynamics that you could be seeking. And so, we began with this question of what do Americans really want with sex, but we ended up with 31 different archetypes that we call desire codes. They range from the cosmic lover that wants like deep soul steering intimacy to archetypes like the hurt me, and then 29 other nuanced others. Well, I think the amazing thing is that sex means so many different things to so many different people. For some people, sex is the greatest expression of love and commitment. For some people, it is a hobby like tennis. For some people, it's a way to release like physical stress. For some people, it's like a way to chase God. For some people, it's a way to explore their dark side. And so we're all bringing all of these different motivations and desires and histories to sexuality. And I think one of the interesting parts is we are in an era that is exceptionally more open, but I think one of the challenges with that is you don't have a lot of reference points. So everyone's coming at it from a different place and a different point along the journey. And then we wonder like why things go wrong. We're like, I'm over here trying to chase God and you're trying to like express love and you're trying to like explore your darkness, but we can't talk about that. It's just kind of implicit, and then things go wrong. And I think there's so many chances of like, whether it's like something going wrong in sex or just people not feeling fulfilled, that we either consider those gaps unbridgeable, we just kind of accept, that we are so different types, we'll never be able to bridge that, or we actually like, we get our feelings hurt, or we think someone's being malicious when actually like I think we're just thinking about sex so differently. And I think if we could reveal that, I think sex could just be a lot more fulfilling for a lot more people.
Yeah, I'm nodding along. I don't know why. I guess I agree. We've got 31 of these codes. Yeah. Can we go through about 10 of them?
Of course, yeah.
Let's do that.
So one of my favorites is the cosmic lover. Cosmic lovers are turned on by deep, soulful intimacy. They like the feeling of like merging into oneness. You'll often hear a cosmic lover say things like, I want you to kiss me till you don't know who you are anymore.
Whoa.
They like that like obliteration through love and intimacy.
Wow, kiss me into oblivion. That's interesting. Number 2.
Brat. This one obviously became very well known, especially over the summer after the Charlie XCX album. But brats are turned on by what we call like, why don't you make me sex? They like to provoke and challenge you in order to inspire their partner to assert their authority. And I think this is like actually like a great type to be able to recognize, because if you've never met a brat, if you've never been with a brat, if you don't know a brat type, you're going to be really confused because they will become mean to you. And they've got like a more mean kind of flirtation style because they're trying to provoke you.
3.
We've got a category called sensuality, and in that one is an atmospheric. So atmospherics are really aroused by like the right mood or vibe, they need the right playlist, the right candle, the right scent. The wrong mix of those things can also like deeply turn them off, but they're very like vibe oriented. And when you ask people about this and you watch them like describe their ideal sex vibe, like atmospherics are so specific. They'll be like thunderstorm, Phoebe Bridgers playlist, and a glass of wine. They like that full like mood setting.
Interesting. Number 4.
Pleasers. So pleasers were the biggest type. I think it was 37% of Americans identify as pleasers. And these are people who are primarily turned on by your ability to please your partner, but they really like feeling and seeing and hearing the pleasure itself. Like it's in the sound and in the vocalization and in the feedback that gets them really excited. And I actually love this one because I joke that there's a lot of parts of sexual America that is not designed for pleasers, like strip clubs. Like strip clubs are not designed for men that actually like to please, you know, because the attention is so focused on pleasing. But what would it look like to flip that? I think that's like a great strip club innovation idea.
True. Okay, 5.
Technicians are very, I think, interesting. They like technique and they like mastering technique. You know, they're going to be the ones that like know the details, the exact hand placement, the exact place on the body. They like to test and learn and really like master the technique of sex. 6, the pillow princess. This one came from the queer community, but it's a person who wants their body to be the center and their pleasure to be the center of experience. So they want to be kind of served, and the whole experience needs to be on them, and that their body is the main center stage. And I mean, pillow princesses and pleasers go very well together.
7.
Dark Virgils, I think that's a really fun one. Dante reference. Dark Virgils love leading someone else to their edge. So they don't necessarily have the content of the fantasy. They want to create the safe space where you can explore your own darkness.
Right.
The Dark Virgil that I talked to, he really appreciated, or he really like found joy in being able to create a space where someone can explore something that they can't explore anywhere else. And so the facilitation of taboo, because it means you have to be a really safe place, first of all. And 2, you also get to take this person to a place they've never gone before. Right. And I think that's a really special experience to feel like you can facilitate that.
8.
Tactile tease. So tactile teases really love like kinetic. They like nails down an arm. They like to be touched. They like the very like tactile experience, and they're very sensitive to that. And so this kind of type likes a really long buildup. You know, when you think about all these types, they also have different, some of them like almost no foreplay, some of them like a lot of foreplay. I don't even like that word foreplay because I think it's very focused on like a sex act versus thinking about the whole experience. What's the date? What's the day? What's the...
It's like the appetizer, and then the next thing happens, and then the next thing happens. And then all of a sudden, you're in a factory.
Right. But tactile teases loves like the gentle touches, the fingers, the feathers, the skin sensations.
Let's go 9.
Dark princesses. I love dark princesses. Like they like a very like sensual experience and passionate that like escalates to a little bit darker and a little bit rougher. And I think part of the psychological element of a dark princess is to be treated well, but also be reminded of your vulnerability. And I think that combination of sensual and passionate, which can turn dark and rough, has that like perfect combination.
10.
Forbidden lovers. So forbidden lovers are really turned on by what's bad for you. And sometimes this is like, you know, things that have real taboo, like if it's a coworker, if it's someone you're not supposed to be sleeping with. But forbidden lovers also just love to create the drama of bad. I feel like I have done this before where you're like, you make a situation bad that's not even bad at all, you know? You're like, we're dating and we're in a house, like when we're adults, like there's nothing bad about this, but you tell yourself like this is so dangerous. Because that storyline of danger is what is so exciting. Man, we're in a time where I think sex is so charged and gender dynamics are so charged. But when you talk to people, you just realize that we're all like, most of us are fumbling around in the dark, trying to figure this out and like meaning really well. And, you know, I've talked to men there was a young man who told me, he was like, every time I'm with a new girl, there's like a clock that starts ticking down in my head. And I have a limited amount of time to figure out how to please her. And I'm getting absolutely no feedback.
Hello, excuse me, are you Jewish? No?
So that's New York. Been trying to process what I heard from people I've known online, in real life, obviously through the pandemic, largely online. And obviously we heard a lot of stories about how New York is a refuge for all kinds of people.
It's a place of possibility. It's a place where if you work hard and you understand the main love language of the city, which is money, possibly followed by productivity, you can probably find a place here, get your foot on the ladder. But for me, it's the quiet stories of pain that we heard, where bodies, relationships, bank accounts, spirits were broken. And a sense of isolation a lot of people have to work through. Well, literally, because they come here to work, and that makes them feel isolated. So if you're thinking about moving here, you've heard the code. The question to you is this a game that you want to play? Now I'm going to take you to the prettiest, most boring city in the country, per dollar spent, and we'll see if we can learn anything there. Or maybe we'll just fall asleep. Viviendo de aplausos en puertos del sueño.